Button Get Harry X by John Wagner and Arthur Ranson. 2000 AD comic originally. This is a collection of 3 albums in one trade paperback. And yeah, this was a book that I read quite a while ago actually. Well, not this physical book. I had the first 2 albums. And I had them, read them and sold them on years ago. And again, I only sold them on because I wanted space. I had very limited space in the home I was then. And so every time I bought a new book, I would tend to sell an old book on. And there was very few that survived those early purges of having smaller shelves. As you can probably tell from the intimidating shelves behind me, that it's not an issue anymore, really. I still do sell quite a lot off and try to keep mixing things up as much as possible. But I was reminded of the existence of this by looking into a recent Kickstarter by John Wagner, and I thought, you know, I haven't picked up Button Man again. I really would like to jump back into that because I enjoyed it. And so I looked online. I couldn't find the individual albums, but I could find this very affordable, cheap trade paperback that collected all 3, and obviously one of which I hadn't read. So I thought, pick that up, paid £13 for it, came, I read it instantly and loved it. Button is all following our main protagonist, Harry Exton. And Harry has this past in the military and other things like that. He's a tough guy. You know, there's no... I mean, you can see by the front cover that he ain't a guy that you're going to mess with. But the narrative of Button is really interesting, I think. It basically... There's this clandestine thing called the game. And what the game is very wealthy people organise getting button men. Their button men kill on their behalf. So each of these wealthy people have a button man that they've employed to do killing. So they phone up and say, right, we want a match. My button man versus your button man. We'll meet here, let's get it on. And basically then the 2 button men meet. Whoever kills each other first, whoever gets each other's marker, and the marker is a finger. Whoever does that first wins, and they place bets on it and everything like that. It's very, very, you know, like almost kind of like gladiatorial games type thing. And essentially one of the early tests Harry gets is they find out that he's interested in taking part. So one button man sends another button man to his house, and then they have a battle, and Harry ends up killing him, and then he's like, okay, this guy can do the job. And so he then starts getting work as a button man. You don't see all of the killings that he does. You only see the main ones that kind of progress the story almost. His friend initially introduces him to it, but Harry is also really uncomfortable with not knowing who the guy behind him is, because they call them the voices. So the wealthy benefactors behind them, they are non-known, they're in the background. They just give you orders over the phone and you're not supposed to know anything about them. Harry's not down with that, so he tries investigating. The story starts off, however, though, with Harry knocking on a door, having a bullet wound, and talking to a psychiatrist telling him his story. And so you again in the story from Harry in flashbacks, you know, of his first button man outings and all that type of thing, and this world of the voice giving him orders. And it's really well done. One thing I can say about John Wagner's writing is that he never overcomplicates things, as far as I know anyway, from what I've read, you know, History of Violence, this and a few other things, is he's really good at straightforward storytelling. He comes forward with a good, strong premise, good, strong characters, and then pushes it, and then ends it, and doesn't really overcomplicate things too much. And I quite like that, you know. Sometimes I like deep, weird, and complex stories, but other times, this type of thing is perfect. And the art by Arthur Ranson is great as well. A lot of photo referencing, photorealism going on. But it's really good because it gives the book a bit of a vintage feel, a bit of a, you know, 80s, early 90s feel. The colouring as well, you know, it's got a lot of style about it. And there's nothing really overly, you know, mind-blowing about the art. But like John Wagner's writing, it does the job, and it does the job well. And there's no complaints from me about it. Eventually, Harry wants to get out of the game. He feels like he's done enough killing and he wants to get out. But his voice won't let him get out. So he then has to come up with a way of getting out of the game. And the way he finds is ingenious, but equally pretty straightforward, and it involves a lot of killing. But it is a great, tight, punchy story. I really enjoyed the first one. The first one, I don't know whether I'd say whether it was my favourite. I probably would, actually. Yeah, the first one probably is. Book one probably is my favourite. But book two is very good. Book two is very good indeed, because book two almost, it changes, because book one is in England and in Wales, which I loved, because his first big outing, you know, with his friend killing, was in Wales, where I'm from. And I was like, oh, we go to Wales to kill, it's great. Basically, book one ends with him a little worse for wear, which you know right from the first page anyway, because when he knocks on the psychiatrist's door, he's bleeding all over the place anyway. So you know he's not up to much. And so book two starts where book one leaves off, and Harry is then suddenly in America, and he suddenly finds himself kind of being courted by an American guy who is a voice. But this guy is upfront and honest. He meets him in person. He says, I want you to be my button man. You've done it in England and you were amazing in England, but in America, it's all different. There's lots of differences going on. And so Harry thinks, okay, I'll do it. But equally in the back of his mind, he's constantly like, I thought I'd got out of this. I thought I'd found a way to get out, but now I wake up and I'm in America and I'm back in the game. And so initially he's charmed with the extra money and he gets into the routine of killing. You know, he very much loses a lot of his empathy and humanity, not that he ever had much anyway. But he certainly gets more and more kind of, you know, brutal in his killing. There are not a lot of times where he is satisfied with taking another button man's finger. He's more satisfied with killing him outright. And that brings a lot of problems. But equally, book two is very interesting in many ways. You know, and how he figures a way to get out of the game finally is really intriguing. So book three starts with him being out of the game. He's finally found a way to be out of it. But then events happen and ultimately he becomes a liability to be even alive. And so the people in America who are still overseeing the game think, right, the time is now. Let's get rid of this Harry guy. Make sure that he's not alive to tell any of our story. Book three is great as well, and every book, in fairness to it, really pushes Harry to the next level. He really gets stronger, bigger, more kind of, you know, ruthless in his approach to all these guys, and just unstoppable killing machine. And it's great really to see him in full flow and action, and to see the things he comes up with, because he's quite a stoic, emotionless character, and you automatically kind of think he's a little bit stupid at times, but then he'll do stuff that you realise, oh no, he is a very intelligent guy. It's just that you are not exposed to that intelligence all the time. He'll keep it back and observe and think a lot of the situation through before acting or talking much at all. It's a fantastic read. If you like action comics and things like that, it's great, because it's full of action. It's full of, you know, this weird concept of this clandestine game going on and people getting into it and trying to get out of it, and then people trying to take you out. There's loads going on, and it's really good fun, I think. But Button Man by John Wagner and Arthur Ranson, get Harry X. Definitely worth a look, I think. And I'll catch you on the next one.